All right, thanks for tuning in live to our golf coverage for 2026 on Proline TV. And we have a new report. It's called The Formula, and it's pretty basic. We are going to introduce you to a bunch of handicapping tools that I use each week to go over selections for the PGA Tour. 31 events are used for contests like one and done, but we'll be here for all of the events, starting with the Sony Open, which will get underway in a couple of days at Wailea. I'm your host, Greg DePalma. Thanks for tuning in. And if you've never been here before, we do a lot of sports here on Proline TV. We're in the heat of the football season, of course, with 8 more teams remaining. So we'll be on top of that the rest of the week. NASCAR picks up with the Daytona 500 next month. And we're also going to be getting into college basketball real soon, all the way through to March Madness. All right. College football, of course, on Monday night. The national championship should be awesome. Let's get started, though, and go over what we're going to be doing here. If you have never been a part of what we do here before, that's okay, because this is a new concept, and we hope you like it. So let's talk a little bit about it. Let's first of all pop in the newest templates. Let me pop that up here because we're going to be using this a lot. This will make it easier for you guys to follow along. And let's go ahead and get started. Oh, we had it there, and here we go. All right, so we're going to have all these templates. For instance, the handicapping tool is pretty simple. What we're going to do each week, these are used tools like this. We're going to be using them to formulate our top stats and trends for the golf event that week. Past performances, strictly, I shouldn't say strictly, but more so for what's going on with that event this week being Wailea. It's the only golf course for the Sony Open, so that makes it easy. We'll also be taking a look at recent form. That's where the world rankings also come into use, the world rankings website as well. And similar golf courses is going to be a big handicapping tool. That is something that we're going to get into in just a little bit. So right there, that's what you can expect to see during the course of any of the videos that we do. And we have the addresses in the description area of this video for the main 4 sites that I use, and also that you'll be seeing through the course of this video. And hopefully that'll help you guys out when you're handicapping the events each week. Okay, now let's move on and go to the next one, which is basically this is the predictions that you're going to get on the show each week. You're going to get our top picks formula, as I said. We're going to go over that as quickly as we can each week and show you exactly what we do, how we put it together, and then it's totally up to you if you want to go ahead and do it yourself, create your own. And it's very time consuming, I will say that. But if you're like really into it and you have the time, it's a hobby, whatever the case may be, then I definitely urge you to do that. But if you don't have the time, and that's part of why I think reports like this are very important, because let us do the time. Let us do the hard work, the legwork, and hopefully that'll help you make your decisions a lot easier. And then, as I mentioned just before, the contest, like one and done, we're going to be getting into that each week. And we're going to go over our picks at the end of the reports, and then also just let you know what we're doing for our one and dones, so you know exactly how to follow what we're doing and why. Okay. Let's now drop in the event template. Now, this is going to be the one that you're going to see each week. That is going to show you what we're going to be getting into, like the Wailea Country Club. We're going to, as you can see, you've got the length. It's a par 70 course with Bermuda greens. It's real important because that's how we're going to break down whether a specific golfer is trending good, trending poorly on specific green surfaces. So we got Bermuda greens this week. Now, there are the similar courses for this week's event. All right. And I just, again, make it real simple. Here, I'll just pop up. Actually, this is the site that we go to. So if you ever want to check it out, you can. And let me see where it is. There it is. So a very small print. Let me pop it in a little bit bigger so you can see it. Wow. All right. So there you go. So There you go. It's Wildlife Country Club. And you got all of the different golf courses that you can go to. This is the drop down. I'm not sure why it's not working, but anyway, you would use the drop down to find whatever golf course you're looking for. And right here, you can see all the different golf courses that, statistically speaking, are the most similar to this week's event at the Wildlife Country Club. Okay. So there you go. Once again, just taking a look at the template for this week. This is what I'll pass along. We're going to show this to you. You've got, again, whether or not you want to go to that site yourself, I'll put together the 5 that I think are the most important. And then here you go. And you can do your legwork if you like. Check out these golf courses that I believe are considered the 5 most similar. That's real important because golfers, it's the old term, horses for courses. We use that a lot also for the horse racing show, which returns. We're going to be back within the next couple of weeks with our horse racing show with John Hardoon. And when we return with our horse racing show every Thursday, I'm not sure we're going to miss a week all the way through to the Kentucky Derby, the Triple Crown races all summer. We might have a week off here or there, but this has been our downtime, and we're going to get up and going with horse racing again real soon. So anyway, there you go. That's this week's event. And those are the most similar courses that we think that you should be paying attention to if you want to go down that road regarding players like or dislike a specific course. I don't really care too much, or I don't dive too much into if they're not good. I just want to see, all right, do they have positive results at the courses that are the most similar? All right. Weather shouldn't be a factor. Normally it's not, especially towards the West Coast, even though California, definitely more of a chance for some conditions. But we're in Hawaii, 75 to 80 every day, partly cloudy, no rain expected, nothing, no heavy winds expected. It's going to be typical Hawaii weather for golf, which is the reason why they play this event at this time of year every year. Now, let's take a look at the trend template. All right, let's pop that one up. Here you go. All right, the trend template. And I'll let you guys freeze this on the video. Just freeze it whenever you like. Check it out. You could even freeze live. Catch up with me later. These, I think, are some of the trends that you might want to be keeping an eye on. The most interesting, I think, on this list that I think really does matter, the average world ranking of the last 20 winners is 88th. 88th. All right, that's a very important theme for this week's event. Only 3 winners in the last 17 ranked in the top 20. 8 of the last 20 ranked over 100. And you see all the rankings for the winners in those last 20. And just so you know, form the last several years, it's stayed the same. The last 3 winners average is 96. So even though things have changed recently, things always change, right? Well, it's not changing at the Sony Open. I will say this, though, and this is important, that the field is tougher this week. Okay, that's the case. A little bit, not a lot, a little bit. Normally, you get about a couple of top 10. What do I have here? Yeah, normally we're looking at last year, there were 5 players in the top 20 that were a part of this event. And there was only 1 player in the top 10 last year in this event. That was Hideki Matsuyama, who ranked 5th. That was last year, 6 in the top 20. In 2024, there were 5 in the top 20, 2 in the top 10. And so pretty much the average was, in the last 6-7 years, the average is anywhere from 0 to 6 in the top 20 and 1 or 2 in the top 10. That's it. And a couple of those in the top 10 are top 5. So there's not a lot. This year, though, we're at 7 top 20s and 4 top 10s. So a little bit more in the top 20s and the top 10s. Again, not a lot more, but just a little more. So there's definitely a little bit more competition this week, which you would think would lower the average a little bit than normal, okay? Because, again, it's just not the top 20s or the top 10. It's just the entire field is a little bit tougher. Now, is that because there's no Century? Maybe. and there isn't a century. So that's also important when we're talking trends, but if you look at it, the trends for this event, we would always look at the century as a very important, a very important relationship on golfers that participated there and then went on to win at the Sony Open. Just to see if I've got the exact number accuracy wise. I think it's 6 of the last 10 winners came off excuse me, no, that's a different one. Actually, I like this one too, though. Yeah, I'm not sure if we had that on the other trends, but 6 of the last 10 winners came off a win in the previous 3 events prior to playing the Sony Open. Now, last year, the winner, Nick Taylor, did not have a win recently, but the loser in the playoff, Nico Echeverria, had won in his previous 5 events prior. So that does seem to matter. In other words, getting a win late in the season and then having that carry over in the beginning of the season. And I think that matters. I mean, you're talking about players that, because a lot of times you get players that, matter of fact, the player who's the top ranked player in this field are the odds on favorite, Russell Henley. Now, Russell Henley hasn't played in September. So that is a long layoff, 5-month layoff for Russell Henley. And that would work against him because, look, you would think he's going to be a little bit rusty. But there are other players that have played in the last couple of months, the last 2 or 3 months, and some have had success in the last 2 or 3 months. That seems to be important, or a little bit important, but definitely enough to talk about. And then just taking a look at the difference between the century and no century. So 9 of the last 12 winners at the Sony Open participated in the Tournament of Champions event. All right, so 9 out of 12. And then the other 3, okay, played their last event in the year prior, no later than mid-November. Okay, so out of all 12, the last 12 winners of the Sony Open, they've either been at the Tournament of Champions or at least participated by mid-November. Again, working against Russell Henley. Very important considering he is the heavy favorite at this point in time. Okay, so there you go. And there's also a playoff trend in case you think that, superstitious or whatever the case may be. There have been 6 playoffs at the Sony Open in the last 10 events. That includes 3 of the last 4 years. So how about that? Playoffs is something that we might very well be getting a hold of this week. That's okay, I guess. If I'm behind, if my player's behind on the 18, I'm okay. I'm not okay, opposite way. All right, now, what I'm going to do is each week, we're going to go over the groups. I'm going to break it down to 3 groups. We're going to start with the main group. Okay? And these are the top players based on world golf ranking and odds. And here they are: Henley, Griffin, Matsuyama, Spawn, Morikawa, and McIntyre. One player on this list is going to be my top pick of the week. And it is also possibly going to be my one and done. So just quickly on this group, again, Henley is the heavy favorite at 11-1. Let me pop up the odds and see if anything has changed because I had these odds early today, and as we're getting closer to the event, the odds can definitely change. So let's see what we get here. I'm not going to go through them all. I'm just going to make sure that if they changed a little bit. No, it doesn't look like they're changing too much. Okay. All right. So Russell Henley, heavy favorite, 11-1. The second choice, I believe, is 17-1. Let me just check that out. I can actually move this over here just so you can see along with me. Yeah, there it is. Hideki Matsuyama at 17-1. Ben Griffin at 17-1. That, to me, is strange. Russell Henley is not this golfer. He's not one of these golfers that gobbles up wins. He just doesn't. He's a very consistent golfer. He gobbles up a lot of top 20s. He had a very good year last year. There's no doubt about that. But wow, 11-1, 17-1, all that. That is a 6-point difference. Way too much for me, especially in an event, as we talked about, where you get a lot of long shots winning. All right. And Russell Henley's putting has not been on form. That's a bad sign. You got a golfer's putting game has not been on form on Bermuda grass. He's got a long layoff, and he's a heavy favorite, and he's not used to being a heavy favorite. Now, I'm not sure how many times he's been a heavy favorite, to tell you the truth, in a field where you've had, 4 top 10s and 7 top 20s in. I'm just going to bet that Russell Henley's never had a field like this where he's been a 6-point favorite. Okay. I don't think that's ever happened. He won this event in his very first appearance way back in 2013. Hasn't won since, but he has a really good resume here with 7 top 20s over his career. And in his last 5 years, 4 of his finishes were in the top 12, including a runner-up 4 years ago at 23 under par. So this has been a really strong event for him. I understand exactly why he's the favorite, but again, not where I'm going to go. You make the call. All right. Now, as far as the rest, now Griffin and Matsuyama, the problem I'm going to have with these guys this week is just that they're coming off wins. I know it hasn't been last week, but still, Ben Griffin, his last event was the WWTC win in November. Matsuyama's coming off the win at the Hero event in December. Now, Matsuyama, if I'm going to take one of the two, I'm going with Hideki. I'm doing that because he's had more positive results here than Ben Griffin. He's a previous winner. He won this event in 2022. Matter of fact, beating Russell Henley in a playoff. And check this out, his first 6 appearances here, a combined 7 under par with 3 missed cuts. In his last 6 appearances, made all 6 cuts with a win at a combined 71 under par. So Hideki Matsuyama really has taken a liking to Wailea in the last 6 appearances. The problem I'm having, again, we're nitpicking because I'll tell you right now, there's a lot to like this week. There's a lot of golfers in the main group and the contenders and the long shots. This is going to be a very tough handicapping week, especially because there's not like a great history of trends here now that you've knocked out the Century. That was a big trend. You knock that out, it makes it a lot more difficult to handicap this event. And it's the first event of the season, and we've got a bunch of long shots winning here. So very, very tough event to handicap. And that's what's going to make it even tougher to decide what to do with one and done. But anyway, back to Matsuyama. Now his putting on Bermuda, not so good as far as form, but getting better. So that is something that has definitely helped him. And that helped him, of course, win at the Hero in his last event last year. Ben Griffin, meanwhile, has some decent results here, but he's never had a top 10. 45th earlier, actually this time last year. But we all know Ben Griffin, even at this time last year, was not the Ben Griffin that we came to know by midway through last season. He became a completely different player. He became a top 10 ranked player of the world, which I still find very crazy, just that kind of crazy season he's had. And if you look at it, just taking a look at the world golf rankings, just let me throw that up there. There are some really strange names up here. We have Russell Henley. We have JJ Spawn. We've got Ben Griffin. Sepp Straka's 12th. Alex Noren has come from, he had a tremendous DP World Tour run to get to 13th. But then take a look at some other golfers outside the top 10. Victor Hovland, Matsuyama, Morikawa, Oberg, Fitzpatrick, Burns at 24. Cantlay's dropped to 25. We can also talk about some golfers that have really slid. Harman's down to 35. Who else? Let's see. There are others. Hang with me. Wyndham Clark's at 47. Wyndham Clark. Boy, does he need to bounce back and have a big year. Jason Day at 57. These guys are not old. Some of these golfers like Jason Day, they're not old. They're still should be at the prime of their careers. Adam Scott is at 66. Who else? I mean, Denny McCarthy's at 69, but we're going to talk about Denny McCarthy later too. He's never won an event on the PGA Tour. Jordan Spieth is 77th in the world. Jordan Spieth. How about that? Ricky Fowler starting to make a little bit of, I'm not going to say a comeback, but he's heading in the right direction, but still probably not at the pace he'd like at 84. So he's still been on the outside looking in. And that's just the top 100. Keeping in mind that Max Homa is outside the top 100, Will Zalatoris is outside the top 100. I mean, there are just it's just a lot. Now, look, some of it are injuries, some of it's personal. I mean, Ricky Fowler for one. I'm sorry, I'm not going to criticize him over it. I'm just going to. This is just a fact. Ricky Fowler's game has gone this way as soon as he got married. That's life. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It just is what it is. And at that point, I mean, Jordan Spieth's another one. And Spieth has some injuries, and he had personal. Ricky's personal. Max is up here. You know, Max has got some problems up there, and he's got to straighten it out really fast, or he may not get back. So it's not like Max is a young kid. So Max, we're rooting for him. But there are some players that are dealing with personal, injuries, as well as getting married and all that stuff, having a family. But what you'll see, I believe, especially with a Ricky Fowler, maybe we'll see it with the Jordan Spieth, what you'll see is, and that's why I think maybe we're seeing this with Ricky, is you got to get used to it, and you got to learn how to adapt to it, to being a father, the patriarch of the family now. I've got responsibilities, that sort of thing. And I think Ricky's been doing it long enough that it's time to get going here. Are you going to now jumpstart your second career? That part that really will make you solidify yourself and put yourself exactly where you need to be in a frame of mind. Because the golf is just a sport, as I think we know by now. So many factors that go into it that psychologically that can trip you up. So many landmines, and they're just again for Ricky, we certainly, and Jordan and Max, Will with the injuries. Look, Will may never be that player again. He may never be that player again, and that's unfortunate. But we're rooting for him. Okay, so get back to it. So I'm going to go Matsuyama over Griffin if I'm choosing the two. What I do like, though, with Ben Griffin over Matsuyama is that Ben Griffin won the Charles Schwab last year. Okay, that's important, being one of the similar courses we mentioned. Okay, so that is something. And again, I'm not really too concerned with his previous history here. He was not the top 10 player. He's never been the top 10 player at the Sony Open before. So, all right. Next up, Morikawa. I said this last year several times, and I'm going to repeat this regarding Collin Morikawa until he wins again. And that is just I'm sorry, but it's up here with Collin. It is. It's all up here. We saw it last year at the Century when he lost the lead, and he had another runner-up when he got beat. Not like he lost the lead again, but he got beat on that miraculous chip-in by, I think that was Henley. And so, yeah, but he lost the lead. And so he's had problems holding on to leads in the last few years. And he has not won. When was the last time he won? He hasn't won. I don't know. It's been a couple years since he won. Now, he is coming off a decent finish at the Bay Current in October, but the putting has been awful on Bermuda. It's been absolutely letting him down big time. The model's improving. There are signs of improvement. Now, he hasn't played here since 2021, though, and he's only played here twice. He did finish 7th in that event. But look, he hasn't fallen off the face like some of the other players we talked about. But the putting and psychologically, these are barriers that he's got to break, and the sooner the better. But we'll see. Look, Collins had some success at the Century for whatever reason, just hasn't played here. Now he is, so we'll see. I mean, again, there are a lot of players where I could say, hey, take for this reason. And there are, and my job is to nitpick as much as possible because you can't take everybody. So yeah, with Colin, because the odds are similar, I would definitely have to go with Griffin and Matsuyama. They've won recently, so that's a big deal. McIntyre and Spawn. Now, McIntyre does not have a history yet in the United States with similar courses. So he hasn't played on these courses as much as some of the other players. He's also just played here twice, not good finishes, neither in the top 50. Now, we did win late last year at the Alfred Dunhill in October, so that helps. Matter of fact, he ended his Euro run last year with an 8th, a 9th, and a 1st, so that's strong. And he was 12th at the Hero, which is all right, sort of like a top 25 in a regular PGA Tour event. So yeah, McIntyre solid. Again, no doubt. All of that's why they're on the main group. But if I had to choose, I'm going to choose with the player that I'm picking in this group. And I'm thinking of picking him for my one and done, and that's JJ Spawn. And I'm going to go with Spawn. If you look at the way he ended his season with 7 straight top 25s, that includes 3 top 10s, 2 top 5s, and a runner-up. He was also 4th at the Hero that I just mentioned. And if you look at a couple other things, he's played here 8 times, 5 missed cuts. But just like Ben Griffin, this is pre-US Open champion JJ Spawn. I just told you how he ended his year. He ended his year right with the U.S. Open, right after he had the U.S. Open win. Boom. He still came back out and had a great end to the season without a win, the year without a win. In his last 3 trips to Wailea, though, one was a miscut in between, but that was surrounded by a 12th and a 3rd. The 3rd was last year. Best result here at Sony Open. That was a 15 under par. But what I also like about Spawn is that he won the Texas Open in 2022. It's a similar course that's on the list. He was also runner-up at the RSM in 2017, 6th at the Charles Schwab last year. So I like it, especially when you see golfers on these similar golf courses that have a variety of good results. You know, if you just have one good result at one similar course, that could just be an outlier. But I want to see, hey, he's been good at 4 of the 5 similar courses, and that's pretty much what JJ Spawn's done. So out of this group, the one player that I'm taking is JJ Spawn, and I will get into the whole one and done thing in a little bit. Oh, if you have any questions or comments during the live show, feel free to jump in. Ask me anything you like all season long. And even if you miss this show, the live show, and you're watching on demand, you can also leave a comment or a question, and I will get back to you. I want to start developing a little bit more of a place that we can all talk together and get everybody's opinions and picks and things of that nature. We're going to do a better job of that this year. That's our goal this year. It's one of our goals this year. Let's do a better job of that. And I know you guys are out there and you're watching, and so I want you guys to contribute in that respect. And I think you'll have fun doing it too. All right, now let's move on to the contenders group. Okay, here we go. And we've got about 8 players here in the contenders, starting with Keegan Bradley and Siwoo Kim at 22-1 at 14th and 46th, respectively, in the World Golf rankings. Now, out of this list, there's a couple of guys that really stick out for me, but let's go through the rest, and that includes Keegan Bradley. Now, Keegan, I had picked the last 2 years. I picked him 2 years ago, and he lost in a playoff, so that really irked me. But then came back last year with him, and he had another good year. He finished 6th, 13 under par. So he's had a really good run the last 2 years. He's got 5 top 5s. 5 top 15s in 13 career events, including the last 2 years. So he's been really playing his best golf here lately. He's also got a win in June at the Travelers. And in his last 3 events last year, they were all top 20s, including a top 10. So there's something to like about Keegan Bradley. And I'll throw a few bucks on him because that's just the way I'll have to. Like I said, I took him the last couple of years, and I'm not going to not take him now. That's just a rule of mine, just in case he wins. But he's going to be like a hedge bet for me, not one of my top plays. A couple other guys to mention here, Corey Connors. What sticks out to Connors is the obvious, and that is he won both of his events. He's only got 2 PGA Tour wins, for crying out loud, Corey Connors. They were both at the Texas Open. Okay. 1 win in the last 6 years on tour for Corey Connors. 7th at the Hero, 4 top 15s and 7 trips to Wailea, 3rd in 2019, but hasn't played particularly well here the last couple of years. Also on this list, we've got Chris Kirk, we've got Hoey, and regarding Hoey, the problem I'm having now, look, he's getting real close to breaking out and winning an event. And who knows when that's going to come. That's the trick, of course. The odds are a little bit low for me at 40-1. But look, he ended last year with 5 straight top 25s. That includes 2 top 5s and a runner-up. He was also 7th at the RSM in November. RSM is a similar course. And the models are good. And that's another thing we're going to get to in a little bit. The models, the fantasy models that I put together for this event at Fantasy National. All right. But the putting, no good. The Bermuda putting is bad. And he's only played here 3 times. And his best finish and his only cut was last year, 59th at 5 under. So I'm just not feeling it this week with Hoey. But again, remember, a few things. Not only are long shots winning the Sony, but and I remember I was telling trends don't really match up. There's not a lot of trends to go with. What does that mean? Well, when I'm looking for specific trends, I'm looking for things of the nature. One of the trends I'll be looking at is is there like a good percentage of players that need a lot of experience at this golf course, like a certain number of appearances, or has it been the opposite? That, hey, the last 5 or 6 winners here have actually won within the last 5 appearances, stuff like that. You don't find it here. You have players that have won here or haven't won here until their 9th and 14th appearances. And you have other players that have won here on their 2nd, 3rd, and 5th appearances. And then you also have some winners that have no prior top 10s. That's why I mentioned it with Hoey, and others that have won with prior top 10s. So it's all over the board. And so don't not pick Richard Hoey because he has not performed well here. Okay. I am not picking him because, like I said in the Open, there's a lot of players to choose from this week. I was surprised at how many players that I could convince myself to play this week and have a pretty good reason. And like, in other words, Sunday comes and I'm telling you right now, I'm pretty confident that whoever is winning this event will be one of the players that either I've picked or I didn't pick because I just didn't have room. That's how confident I am, because there's just too many players that fit the mold this week in some fashion or another. Okay, so anyway, Hoey, I'm going to be keeping an eye on him, but this week I just don't know. And I also don't like the odds at 45-1. I want a little bit more odds than that. All right. Also, Kitayama, he has played 4 times here. The last 2 appearances have been a combined 18 under par, which is good compared to his first 2. He won the 3M Open in July. That was about 6 events ago. And he ended last year with 9 straight cuts, including 3 top 20s in his last 4. Chris Kirk is also in this group. And Kirk has 6 top 20s in his career here out of 15 appearances. 5 of those are top 10s. 4 of those are top 5s. And he's got runner-ups in 2021 and 2014. He's also been pretty solid on some of the similar courses. So that's good. I don't like the way he's been going with the model. Okay. Even though the model is just like the trends. When I put my model together, which we'll get into in a little bit, when I put my model together and then I looked at the previous, say, 3 winners of this event using the model, those last 3 winners didn't really have good stats with the model either. So that's why this is a really tough golf course to pick winners. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be easy. All right. Kirk. So yeah, Kirk not going well with the model. Did not have a win last year. Missed the cut here at even par last year, but this is a course that does seem to fit him. And probably just the way I looked at his stats and his overall game, he's one of these players that if he gets off to a good start, I might want to look at him with live wagering entering round 2 of the weekend. And then you've got Maverick McNeely. Now, Maverick, okay, there's some to like about Maverick. I don't like the odds at 28-1, but there are some good things. Now, the model's not one of them. I will admit that, okay? But it's no worse. Matter of fact, it's actually even a little bit better than the models from the winners the last 3 years, so I'm not worried about that. He's been really good on the similar courses. He's got the win at the RSM in 2024. He was also 3rd at Texas and at RBC last year. So again, he's got good results at 3 of the similar courses, which is nice. He was 10th, he was 7th here 3 years ago. He's made the cut in all 4. And overall, again, I think he is a solid pick. 28-1 is not bad. Once again, I don't know. With Maverick, he's got 1 win. He didn't win last year. He just won a little bit. And he's not like he's really dominated here. So it's almost like I really just wish I had better odds than that. Okay. And then the players I like the most here would be Siwoo Kim and Adam Scott. So we'll start with, tell you what, let's start with Siwoo. And Siwoo, red hot down the stretch last year. Wow. That really is what jumped out at me. Ended the year with 7 straight top 10s, including 3 top 5s. His last 3 events, 21st, 4th, and 3rd. So he's trending perfectly in the right direction. The 3rd was over in Australia in December. So just last month. Yes, it was a big trip, but he's had more than enough time to regenerate. And I'm sure he had a nice, fun holiday because of it. Very good in the models, okay? And he's really doing really solid in the models. The models are working just like his game is working. So I really like that combination. Didn't play well here the last couple of years, including a miscut last year. But he's a former winner. He won this event in 2023. It was the last time he's won on the PGA Tour. So there is a little bit to like regarding that. And 22-1, see, that's the thing. There is just, and I know because there's not a lot of top 10 players, I get it. That's why the odds are the way that they are. But because there's so much to choose from this week, and this is a long shot course, I just don't feel comfortable going with a lot of these players with the shorter numbers. I just don't. I just want better than 22-1. But Siwoo, this is there's a lot to like coming in here with this one. Another negative, though, the models are good. There's a lot to like about them. The putting is awful on Bermuda. Okay, so and I just nitpick really, really hard. If I have to decide on golfer A or golfer B, and there's a lot to like on both, but one of them is struggling on the greens, I'm going with the other guy. I've watched too much golf in my career and seen what can happen if you can't close the deal with the putter. Okay. Siwoo, by the way, was 8th at the RBC last year and 4th at the RSM. So again, like I said, a lot to like about Siwoo. Adam Scott is going to be my top pick in this group. Now, I definitely have had my share of issues with Adam in the last several years, making him a pick, not responding like the old days. Adam was a good player for me in the old days. Matter of fact, I had him the year he won the Players and the Masters. So I had him in 2 really big events in his career. And Adam's a great ambassador for the sport, tremendous ambassador. And the thing, though, that I just wish that, and I think this is because, again, I remember talking about family and all that. I just think Adam, and this is no knock, I just think Adam, there's a lot that Adam has done in his life off of the golf course that has been important to him. And I think if he was in a situation where golf was everything, and that's all he cared about, I don't think there'd be any doubt that Adam Scott would have 5 more wins on the PGA Tour. He'd have another major or 2. But that's just been not the case. But now he's at the point of his career where he's getting up there a little bit, and it's time. It is time. You don't have a whole lot more years to waste now before you get to an age where there's nothing you can do about it because you're just too old. So I think he's at that point. I do believe, from what I heard in the last year or 2, that he's kind of rededicating himself. Again, I don't know how much of that, but just enough that it matters. And it does matter. We saw what happened last year, and that was another disappointment of what happened, of course, in the U.S. Open. That was a major disappointment. But I do like the fact that even though he hasn't played here a lot, that he's trending in the right direction here. Played here 10 times, half the time in the top 25. So I do like the trending, at least, is pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. He did win the Texas Open, even though it was a while back. And in his last 2 events, maybe most importantly, he has the 2 events in Australia, his home country, when he finished 5th and 7th. So that's good. It was in December. Okay. So again, that's good. That's recent form. But Adam Scott has not won since 2020. Okay. The difference is I'm getting 40-1. All right. And that's the reason why I'm taking him on this list. I'm getting double on Adam Scott than I am with Siwoo. I'm getting more than McNeely, double with Bradley. And that's why on this list, I'm going to go with Adam Scott. And I think I'm going to pick and choose, of course, when I'm taking Adam, especially now at this point in his career, no win since 2020. And this is one of those times I'll take him. He's had success before on the West Coast, winning events, being competitive, and he is coming off those good results in Australia. So the form is there. I think this is a good week to take someone like Adam Scott. And if you look at it, he's 66th in the world. So that does, again, that's also another number that's important. We went over all the world golf ranking numbers in the beginning and how important that is, that the higher you are, the better regarding Sony Open winners. All right, that's the top contenders. Now, let's break out the long shots. How about that? Okay, here are the long shots. And wow, we got a big list here. 18 long shots. I tell you, there's a lot to choose from. And in this list, how many do I like here? Well, I got like a lot of them. So, wow. Okay, let's start at the top because he's going to be one of my picks this week. Echeverria. And actually, there's been a couple players on this board that I think are going to have winning years. I think they're going to improve this year in their rankings. I think they're going to win this year. Echeverria is one of them. He's already got a win a couple years ago. And Pierceson Cootie at 70-1. And then really, this is a very interesting list, too, for the season. You're talking about how you're going to be looking at these players fantasy-wise, how you're going to be looking at these players over the course of your season. Well, Echeverria, McCarty, McCarthy, Meisner, Gerard, Cootie, Haotung's going to be interesting. Whaley, McGreevy, Cole's going to be interesting. And Parry is also going to be interesting because we haven't seen him here on the U.S., but he's really doing well on the DP World Tour. So yes, some of those names, I'd keep an eye on these guys. I really would. I think all the players I mentioned have an opportunity to win this year, and you're going to get some wins out of this group this season. If so, I think you're going to be able to cash up on those players and make a little coin when they're able to do that. All right, so Echeverria, second last year. I mentioned it before, lost in the playoff, okay, to Nick Taylor. So he also had a 12th in his first appearance here at 12 under par. So he has two good showings here. His putting has also been really strong on Bermuda, okay, lately. Okay, and when we look at the model, and I'll show you, we go from ranging 24 rounds out to 4 rounds out. He's been good throughout. And he ended last year with 3 top 15s in his last 4, with a 4th at the RSM. Similar course. And he also had a runner-up at RSM in 2024, the year before. So he's had some good results at RSM. He had the good results here. The one thing that does bother me is the models are not good for him. But if I'm going to pick something that I'm okay with that doesn't compute, it's the models, because they haven't necessarily worked out for the players that have won recently either. Okay, next up. Well, I tell you what, let's jump on McCarthy, because McCarthy is another player that I like this week for a pick. He is sitting there at 69, so he's right around the same range as Adam Scott, which is fine. We're also getting 60-1, which is really good because we know McCarthy can putt. But what I really like about Denny McCarthy this week is he has done 1 stroke better in all 4 appearances here. So he's gone from 8 under par to 11 under par, one under each 4, and that has improved his results as well, from 48th all the way to 16th last year. So that is a nice, really gradual process that I think says, hey, I think we have a top 10 this week with Denny McCarthy. Now, again, like Echeverria, the model, not looking all that great. It seems to be going in the opposite direction. So there's that. He's also number 1 on the PGA Tour before, but he's been very good at these courses. We just told you how he's doing here. Well, very good, including he's got the runner-up at the Texas Open in 2024. He has 3 top 10s at the RSM, and he's got 2 top 10s at Bermuda. So I like that. And again, there's a lot to like. We're looking for long shots. We're looking for those types of players this week, and I like Denny. Next up, let's pop in. Let's see here. Who are we going to pop in now? So much content here. Let's pop up Eric Hall. Okay. Now, Eric is a tough one he's tough to handicap. A couple of years ago, Eric came from nowhere and started playing well. Like as soon as we paid attention to Eric Hall a couple of years ago, boom, he just started playing well. And it looked like every week he was in contention, especially during the fall. And it just looked like Eric Cole's going to win. He's close every week. He's going to win. He didn't win that during that streak. And that's tough not to win when you got one of the streaks going, because then it could go away. And that's exactly what happened to Eric Cole. His streak went away and he never got it back, because that was a good streak he was on. But it looks like he might have it back. He ended last year 3 top 25s in his last 5. 2 of those were top 10s. Now, he did a lot better than that. Okay, so he's still got a way to go to catch up to that streak. 21st at the RSM was in November. Okay, so that's not bad on a similar course. The model is also getting slowly better, which is really good. And maybe even more importantly is the putting has been very good lately on Bermuda grass. Very good. So I'm real confident about that. And so, yeah, and he's been good on the similar courses overall. And maybe most important, he has gradually gotten better here in his 3 appearances. He was 61st, his first appearance, 13th last year at 12 under par. He was 5 under par the first time out 3 years ago. And then last year, all the way to 5th at 14 under par. So I like that line. I like the putting. He's been good on similar courses. He's got some recent success lately. He's never won, but he's sitting there. Two good things, 90-1 odds, and maybe more importantly, 110 on the World Golf Rankings. And that's right about where we want to be based on Sony Open history. All right, Mac Meisner is another one at 60-1 at 103 on the World Golf Rankings. Again, that's what we like. I also like the fact that his model is getting better. The fantasy model I created is getting better with Mac Meisner lately. He played here once last year. He was 21st at 10 under par. That's a really solid showing. And in his last 7 appearances last year, all cuts made, 6 of those top 30s, 3 top 15s, a runner-up at the Wyndham. Okay, he was that close to winning. His putting is solid. He was also 18th at RSM, so that's good. But yes, overall, Mac Meisner, a lot to like. 103 World Golf Ranking, right where we want him. McCarty, 60-1 as well. 56 in the World Golf Rankings. 65th last year in this event at 4 under par. So not a great showing, but that was his first year. Keep in mind, this is a player that has already won on the PGA Tour. He did it late in 2024. His last 5 events last year, 4 of those top 15s, 1 top 5. So he's coming in with a strong end to 2025. And 2 of those were 8th in Australia in December. So again, another player that played recently, and 3rd in the Utah Championship on the PGA Tour. So his last 2 events have been really strong. The model is kind of going the wrong way, but not that bad, and it's slowly going the wrong way. I'm not worried about it. And the reason I'm not worried about it, because the putting has been really, really strong lately on Bermuda grass. So again, another good player to keep an eye on out of the long shots. All right, we're not done with the long shots. Emiliano Grillo at 70-1. And he's 95th in the world, man. He's right there at the number. So Grillo, overall, I'd say he's one of the top players on my model this week. So that could be good, could be bad. But Grillo has 1 win only since 2015. Okay, so I just can't believe 10 years have passed since Grillo won, but it has. Overall, he's played here 9 times, just 1 top 10. 3 of those top 25. As a matter of fact, in his last 4 years, 3 of those were missed cuts, but he does have a top 10, and that was 7th a couple of years ago. The model, though, as I said, very good. The putting's been decent, and maybe even more importantly, he's got a win at the Charles Schwab in 2023, and also a runner-up at the RBC Heritage in 2021. Not going to be one of my top long shot picks, but definitely a long shot contender, sitting there with that 95 average, which is exactly what we're looking for. There's my boy, Pearson Cootie, and he's also got a perfect average there at 94. And similar to Grillo, really good on the model, really better actually than Grillo with the putter. So he's been solid on the putting, good on the model. He has won 3 times on the KFT Tour, so this is someone that we're expecting good things from on the PGA Tour, and it's I think it's coming. I think he's going to win this year. Now he missed a cut in his only opportunity to play here a couple of years ago, so all right, not all that great. Last event, 51st RSM, again not great on a similar course, but okay, he made the cut. But I think more importantly, when I looked at his overall results from the similar courses, again, you're talking about a player that doesn't have a lot of great results on the PGA Tour yet. He's still relatively new. A player that really just you see more of in the fall or on the alternate events with majors. So he's not that guy that you see every week on the PGA. He's not that player yet. But because of that, and those limited results that have been okay or solid or good, they have come on the similar courses to this one. So I think this is the type of course that doesn't really suit him. Ryan Gerard at 65-1 is 42nd in the world. Who? Right? But Ryan Gerard is one of these players that is definitely under the radar, no question about it. At least you're getting 65 to 1, so that's good. 37th last year in his only appearance at 8 under par. Won the Barracuda Championship last year, which is why he is where he is. So probably why you don't know. Anyway, runner-up in an event in Europe late in December. I lost a close one to Jaden Shaper. So that was good, real good. The model's improving with him. He had a runner-up at Texas last year. That's really good. The putting has not been good. And really, that was the defining factor for me to not pick him as a final long shot. But he needs to be in the list. And the putting is the one thing on Bermuda that kind of soured me on taking him as an official long shot play. Alex Smalley, boy, he came close a few times last year to getting a win. His first win just didn't happen. And then he kind of went away and disappeared. Well, he ended last year with 2 top 5s in his last 4 events. So we'll see if he's going to put himself in that position again. He was 16th last year at 11 under par here. His first 3 appearances did not make the cut. So at least he had a really good showing last year. The models look good for Alex Smalley. So that really good, matter of fact, for Alex Smalley. So that's good. He was 3rd last year at Bermuda. Okay, so that's good. But unfortunately, the one thing that is also a kink in his game right now overall is his putter. So another reason I'm staying away. Vince Whaley. Okay, this is another one of these guys under the radar long shot. You need to keep an eye on. You get 80 to 1. You get 106 in the world golf ranking. So it's a really nice combo we're looking for, right? Doesn't have a lot of success here. His best was a 17th a couple of years ago. He's made 2 out of 4 cuts. The model works really well for him. He's been doing really well recently with the model. So that's good. He's never won yet. Okay, so you got to remember that on the PGA Tour. But the putting is good. The model is good. That's a nice combo. But check this out. He ended last year making 18 consecutive cuts. Okay, 18 consecutive cuts. That includes 7 top 20s, 4 top 10s, and 3 top 5s. All right, so Whaley really playing his best golf of his career. He also has had excellent results at the similar courses that we're looking at, with 9 career top 30s, 4 top 10s at Bermuda, and that includes a 3rd at Bermuda last year. So a lot to like about Whaley. And if I'm going to nitpick at all on him, the only thing that I would nitpick on Whaley would just be he hasn't done anything at this golf course, and that's it. I think Whaley is a really good long shot play. I came really close to taking him as one of my official long shots. But hey, I'm definitely taking him. I'm definitely putting money on him, and I think he'd be a really good play for you as well. Haotong Li, 80 to 1. Look, there's some good things to like about Haotong this week. He's good on the model. I like that. Matter of fact, very good. He might be like the best at the model between 24 rounds out and the last 4 out. So he's really strong on the model. Of course, we all remember what happened to him with the Open Championship. Being in contention was nice to see. Top 5 there. He's played here twice. He was 12th in his last appearance in 2022 at 15 under par. His putting has gotten better at Bermuda lately. And he ended last year with 2 top 10s on the DP Tour in Europe. The main thing is he's had very little success on the PGA Tour here in America. You got to look back at the PGA Championship in 2020 when he finished 17th. Other than that, he just does not have a lot of experience on these types of courses, but there are some things to like. And that's why I think it's important to put him out there, put him on this list and say, let's see what he can do to start the season on the PGA Tour. Can he get something going here? You get a big number at 80 to 1, 86 ranking. Seamus Power, 90 to 1, 163 on the ranking. So that excites me. A few things to like here, and definitely a few things to be concerned about. One of the biggest things to be concerning about are his putting issues on Bermuda. Not good at all. That's the big knock. Okay, but There are other things to like. He's one of the things is that even though most of his showings at this golf course not great, combined 4 under par in 6 of his 7 showings at Wailea, but he has had a really good showing in 1 year. He was 3rd in 2022 at 19 under par. So he had a really good week going just a few years ago. He's here, a few years ago, here, which says that, okay, I can do it here. Also, he ended the year on a nice trend line. Okay. So he's, every event over his last 4 got better and better and better. Matter of fact, he was 11th and 7th in his last 2 events, 7th at RSM, a similar course. He also has a win at Bermuda. Okay, very important. And he's had a very good career at RSM. So there are some nice things here. The model also really peaked up and did well in his last 4. So that tells you that he might just have something going here on the model, and a few other things I pointed out. Again, we're looking at a player with big odds and a big world golf ranking, but that's what we're doing with this group here. And this week, John Parry, as I talked about just before, this is pretty much full-time DP World Tour player. 7 pro wins, including 4 in 2024. And he already has a win in Europe, 7 on the European Tour, 7 top 30s to end last year in his last 8 events with 3 top 10s and 2 top 5s. He ended the year with a 7th and a 5th in his last 2 events. So there's a lot to like there. The model is also heading in the right direction. Look, you're getting 100 to 1. You're 82nd on the ranking. So these are all good things. But I think it's always hard for a player overseas, comes here, plays. It's been easier though. Okay, we've seen the Valamakis and a number of other players, Pavan. There have been players overseas where you go, okay, that's an okay player, and usually in the past, those okay DP World Tour players that came here, not so good. But things have changed, and it's a lot easier now for whatever reason. I haven't dove into that why, but for some reason, it's been a lot easier for players over in Europe to come here and contend and actually win. So we'll be keeping our eye on John Parry. And we still have a couple more long shots I want to throw in there. Max McGreevy, 90 to 1, 67th overall. The model is really good and trending in the right direction, really strong. Another player, though, that unfortunately is not looking good with the putter. Okay, so that's a bad thing. Another thing that's not good. He's played here 3 times. He's never made the cut. Okay, but again, I said the model has been really good, and he ended the year with 4 top 15s in his last 5 events, 2 top 5s and a runner-up. Matter of fact, his last 2 events, 2nd and 3rd. So that's really strong. He's got 5 professional wins. He's looking for his first on the PGA Tour. I don't know if this is a good golf course for him, okay, because he hasn't made the cut here. But he's a player that you need to take notice of, and that's why he's on this board. All right. We have, I believe, just a couple more to go on this list here, and they're both Japanese players, I believe, Kanaya and Nakajima. Nakajima, not good on the models, but he went from 140th in August to his number here of 93rd. That's how well he's been playing. In his last 11 events, 6 top 25s, 2 top 5s, and a runner-up. This is overall worldwide between Japan and the U.S. He's got 5 pro wins, 4 in Japan, 1 in Europe in 2024. He's played here twice. He's made the cut both times with a combined 16 under par. Kanai is the one that's a little bit more interesting out of these 2 Japanese players for me. Now, 116 is good on the ranking, and you are getting 120 to 1 overall. Not my favorite long shot, but the reason he's in here is because he is number 1 on my model. Okay, it's number 1. Okay, so that has to count for something. But there are some issues 5 times played here, never made a cut. Putting issues, bad combo. But you got the model, which is good. And another thing that's really good, in his last 9 events last year between Japan and the PGA Tour, 6 top 25s, 4 top 5s, and a win. He actually is another player that has seen his ranking go in a really good direction. He started the streak at 184th in the world. As you can see, he's made his move all the way to 116th. And that includes 4 top 10s on the PGA Tour last year. 3 of those were top 5s, and he had a 3rd at the Bermuda last year as well. So I think definitely with that, worth noting and letting you know about Takumi Kanaya of Japan. And that will wrap up our groups, our long shots, and our contenders. All right. We still got a little bit to finish up here. And what we're going to do now is take a look at our picks. So let's pop that on the board. All right. Where are they? Okay. Picks. Here they are. All right. So I've already kind of tipped you off to the picks. And here are the 5 picks. So we're going to go with JJ Spawn at 100. And look, the way that our formula is gonna be on the picks: 100 for first, 75, 50, 25, 10. So I don't even know what that is. That's $260. So that's what I'm going to do every week, 260, and just how I'm going to do it. Now I do need to anybody out there that really likes or is considering doing top 10 picks. Obviously, the odds are much lower. But Brady Cannon, who was with us earlier last year for several months, really golf handicapper, great golf handicapper. And he loves wagering on top 10s. He spreads them around. And even though there's less money, it's more beneficial. You don't have to, it's a lot harder going for the wins than top 10s and top 20s. So he's made a good living out of that in golf handicapping. So even though I'm not doing it, obviously all these players I'm talking about are players that I believe have a good shot at top 20 and top 10s. So if you see if you want to go that route, hey, more power to you. I'm just somebody that just likes to go for it. So that's going to be my formula. And those are the long shots I've picked. And those are the top players as well. And I have to say that out of the picks that I did not take, let me just go back. Again, I would go, my second choice with the main group would be Matsuyama, just barely beating out Griffin. In this group, I would go Siwoo and McNeely and Bradley. Order, I'd probably go Siwoo, Bradley, McNeely in that order after Scott. And then the long shots, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like here, as I said before. So, look, I'm taking McCarthy and Cole here, and Echeverria. Those are my 3 here. But McCarty, Meisner, Cootie, Whaley, definitely Whaley. And yeah, those are probably the ones that really stick out the most for me here on this list. That just fit, that did miss out, but not, it was close, but they definitely just missed out. Okay. So that means again that I only had a few guys that I could go with here, but I decided out of the long shots to go with McCarthy, Echeverria, and Cole. And I don't anticipate that that's going to happen very often. Because out of these 5 picks, what I really would rather have are the top 3 and then 2 long shots at the most. Sometimes there'll be an event I'll just have 1 long shot, but this is a week based on history that, hey, just go for some long shots. And I will say this, when you're going for long shots, normally, especially because of one and done contests, as we're going to get into now, try to avoid, even if you take long shots, try to avoid going outside top 75 in the world. There just is no reason to do it. It's too hard. It's look, if you want to go that route, do what I'm doing, put money on the player and make money that way. But in a contest like one and done, it's too volatile. And even if you look, you're not going to, if you win 4 or 6 events, then you have a chance to win the championship in that contest. So really what you're doing on average, what you're trying to do is trying to win a couple of events, and you really just want to make sure you're in as many top 10s and top 20s as possible, because you're not going to win almost every week. So that's why when you go with long shots and one and done, it sucks to have a pick and one and done that misses the cut. It really sucks. You feel like you just wasted a week, which you did, because you're not going to win every week, most weeks, and you get that, you understand that. But that's what you're striving for, top 10s, most of all. And top 20s, to me, are the worst case scenario. That's really the way I look at it. And that's the reason why, and I know sometimes the rankings aren't equivalent to actual what a player really is, and I get that. But still, it's like on the list that we've talked about, I went over the rankings, and I would say that. So here, if I was, because I haven't made my decision yet. Like I said, Spawn, the thing I'm debating with Spawn is 2 things. One, do I want to use them up in a $9,000-$10,000 event? Maybe. Again, you only have 14 of them in the contest. You have 10. You've got 8 signature events and 2 playoff events that are 25 million. Okay. That includes the, actually, that does not include players. Okay. So you got 8 signature, 2 playoff events at 20 million. You got the players at 25 million. And you got the 4 majors. So you're looking at 4 to 15. Okay. So you got 15 top players that you're going to go with the biggest money available. All right. 15. So that's why I have to decide, do I believe JJ Spawn is going to be one of my top 15 players this year? I don't know. JJ Spawn came from absolutely nowhere. Yes, he got off to a good start with that loss to Rory in the playoff at the Players, but did really nothing else until he won the U.S. Open, and then it got hot at the end of the year. So look, I don't even know about Ben Griffin. So the players like that, I'm not going to guarantee that I'm going to take him as one of my $20 million players. It's possible. I would need a lot more time this year to definitely verify that, but that's the guesswork, and that is the chance I have to take with considering he's my top pick this week. So that's what I'm just now. Again, going back to the long shots, that's why if I'm looking at long shots, Danny is like really on the border there. I was telling you, I'm looking at top 75 ranked players only in the contest, and I'm telling you, and so when I'm looking at 16 other events that are ranging from $8,000 to $10,000 purses, so those are 16 other players that are going to be chosen. Is Denny McCarthy going to be one of those? Now he's 69th now. Can Denny McCarthy end up as a top 25, top 30 ranked player when the season's over? Yeah, I actually think that that's possible. I really do. Let me take a look at, because Maverick McNeely is, I think, I kind of look at both players the same way. Is that I think they've had those types of careers where they tease you, and then they kind of went away for a little bit, but McNeely got hot and better and won. But really with McNeely, that's pretty much been the major difference. Like, let's see McNeely here. Okay, so when did he win? McNeely's got his win at the RSM at the end, the very last week of 2024. Okay, so he gets the win. He was 67th. Look at that. What was Denny? 69th. Okay, so That's where he was. And how funny is it that he was 67th right at that time, the end of the year? Pretty close to the Sony Open, right? So he goes from the 67th player to 30 with the one win. Then what did he do with it? Okay, he's got a couple top tens. Boom, runner-up Genesis. Huge. That was huge. Okay, that's really what solidified himself as, hey, he's a player. Then third at Texas, third at RBC. And hey, you seeing a pattern here with similar courses. Okay, this is what we talked about before. That's why Maverick is someone that you might want to look at this week. And you've got another fifth place at another strong event, Memorial. And then we go to a third at another event, which will be a signature event, the BMW. And there you go. And that's the way he ended his year. So it wasn't like he put together a tremendous line of top fives and top tens, but he had a big year, and it all started with the win. And if you look at, let's see, where was the win? There it is. Now look at before that. There he had a top 10, but look at that. Miscut, 45, miscut, 44. That's just nothing spectacular, right? It happened. As soon as he got the win, everything changed, and he became a legitimate top 30 player. So with Denny McCarthy, is he ready to be that type of player? Well, actually, you know what? We could just go right to best performances. So looking at Denny McCarthy, this is kind of where we saw him here. Big event, Memorial, a couple years ago, runner-up. Probably should have won this event, actually, a couple years ago. That was one he let get away. There's that runner-up in Texas. He's got the Web.com Tour Championship win. That's another one that kind of opened everybody's eyes to the type of player he could be. Look, top 10 at the U.S. Open, top 10 at the PGA Championship. So he's, Genesis, Travelers, even though Travelers wasn't a signature event in 2023. Wells Fargo is a tough golf course. That's the thing with McCarthy. He has played really well in some really tougher, bigger events. So as you can see here, he's got good results at really tough golf courses. And there's a lot to like here. Look, everything here, even when we're getting down to the end, sometimes you get certain players that are like ranked 70th in the world, and you get down to like the last 10 of his best results, and they're in the 20s and 30s and 40s. But Denny's last, 50 out of his top 50 best performances, he's still got a top 10 here at the Houston Open, which is a pretty decent event. So that shows you that there's a lot to like about Denny McCarthy's game, that if he just gets that first win to get him going, he'll be a top 30 player for sure. And I think Denny McCarthy's got the game to be a top 20 player in the world. There's no reason in the world, in my mind, that Denny McCarthy can't be a Ben Griffin. So it's just a matter of going out and doing it. And when will that be? But again, do you put him on the list on a one and done? Because we're talking about the 69. We're still talking about the 69th ranked player in the world now. And it's one of those really tough gambles that I would have to make. But I have to say to myself, well, isn't this the perfect week to take the gamble with one of those long shots? Because that's why I said you always look at the top 75. I didn't say I'm only taking top 40 players. I'm going to look at the top 75. And the reason I say that is because there are some outliers like McCarthy that I don't believe is the 69th best player in the world. That even without the win, I think he's more like, in my mind, I think he's more of a top 50 player. And, but anyway, fact is, it's a gamble. And that's what this is all about, isn't it? That's what the term is. And then the other one would be Echeverria, if I want to go that route as far as picking someone in that respect, because Echeverria, 52nd world ranking, obviously not a lot better, but better overall than McCarthy. But McCarthy's my second choice for a reason on my board, and he's the one that I'm going to have to decide with on my one and done. Do I go with Spawn at 19-1, or do I go take a chance? Because not many, and it's the other thing is not many one and done contests members are going to go ahead and take Denny McCarthy. So it's one of those deals where, you take them and see the reason why. And by the way, Scott's another guy, but the reason why that I'm thinking about it is because I do like I have to feel, and this is again for anybody out there considering one and done options. Some advice I would also say is, just like I was saying before about not wanting to go volatility with long shots. Yeah, McCarthy's a long shot, which means there's volatility there. But what I like about his volatility or supposed volatility as a long shot player is the fact that I can go back and take a look at some of his history at this event, as well as his overall game, and say, well, there's some things I like. I told you about the fact that he's gone from 48th to 32nd to 24th to 16th. So that is a really nice line. And I like these trends a lot when I'm handicapping golf. And so, hey, worst case scenario, as long as the line stays the way it has so far, I'm okay. If I can get Denny McCarthy with a top 10 this week and he's my long shot play, I'm okay. Because again, nobody's really going to pick him but me. And so I've got a little bit of an advantage there. Remember, it's not all about picking winners. And then you're also talking about, one of the better golfers in the world and a player that has done really well at the similar courses. Now, a couple more things before we wrap it up. And I'm going to take a look now at the model. Okay. So if you want to go to Fantasy National, I would say do it, but only if you have time. This takes time. Now, as I said in the very open of the video, if you've got the time, if it's something you really enjoy doing, hobby, whatever, or you're just getting into it and you want to really do this for a living, then you have to have this type of tool. And the sooner you can learn it, the better. So, but if you're somebody that is, look, I don't have the time for this, I'll let you do it, then that's fine. 100% get it. But if, in other words, if you are somebody that I want to get involved, I want to use tools, but I don't have that much time, then I would stick to another site that I use, and I would use it anyway, because I use them all, of course, is Golf Stats. Okay, so Golf Stats, I don't know if I will pop it up here. The one thing that I really enjoy about Golf Stats is they make it very easy. I'll just give you a quick peek here. Okay, because these are both membership sites. They give you all this information for the event. And then look how easy it is to follow the players when it comes to past performances. Very simple. See right there, if you just take a look there, very simple. It gives you all the years. It gives you the players here, the cuts made, the average finish, and you could even pop that on, and that's only going to be something you'll look at if a player has more than 10 starts. So let's say he's got 35 at a venue. So yeah, and there's so much more to like at Golf Stats besides past performances. Matter of fact, where winners come from. I really like where winners come from. Now, we didn't talk about that today, and I don't know why we didn't talk about it today, but I will be talking about where winners come from in the future, because I think that's another angle that really works well, because once the week starts, maybe you get off to a bad start, or whatever the case may be, but you get into the weekend, and now you really you want to start handicapping a live wagering. And so now you're looking at, okay, well, what's the history tell me regarding the trend of this event? Where do they come from? And we're going to get into that. And what's really cool about some of these golf courses and these venues, you'll see where it'll be like 9 of the last 10 players that have won this event were either first or second in the final pairing, or 50% of the last 15 winners were not in the top 10 going into the weekend. Or this is really important. You can even tell whether or not you could say, well, we've had a good number of winners that have won this event that started outside the top 40 after the first round. Those are the best ones. Because when you can find winners of events that have historically come from behind after getting off to a slow start, those are the best because of what? Your odds are going to be better. So I love taking advantage of those. So I go into an event and those are the ones that if I could see them, oh, this is one of those weeks where the winners, like the last 6 winners, have all and a lot of that has to do with the reason why I think it happens at certain venues just happens to be with what you're dealing with the golf course, just because of whether it's the weather conditions always are different. If your tee time is in the morning compared to the afternoon, or it could just be the way that I don't know, it just could be the way that the golf course is laid out. And because of you starting maybe on the back 9 as opposed to the first tee, and whatever the case may be, those are not freaky, wasteful trends. Those matter. And so those are the ones I love the most. And we will be talking about where do winners come from. We're not going to do it this week, but we will be doing it in the future. And also, look, Dubai Invitational performance charts, other series too. It's not just the PGA Tour. Okay. Let's get back to Fantasy National. So this was the model I put out. All right. So here it is. So I'm going with 400 to 450 in the par 4s. I'm also going strokes gained on the par 4s. So par 4s matter at Sony. And that's the reason I've got almost half of my model in the par 4s. Then I'm also doing, I've got the proximity to the hole at 175 to 200. Okay. I've also got the putting from 15 to 20. And I've got the combined, basically, I combined this really with driving off the tee is important here, because really there are issues, even though the rough isn't exceedingly high, there are issues, and you can see it with the difference in the scoring if you do or do not make the fairway. All right. So, and the longer you drive, the better as well. And I know most of that's the case, but the fact is, even if you are off the fairway, as long as you're longer, that's a benefit. So those are some of the things, but there's no stat for that. So that's why I decided to just go with, okay, I know driving will be important here, and I'm going to go ahead and say those are a couple of stats I'm going to use. Keeping in mind that this is my model, and every single person that puts a model together with a site like this is going to have a different model. And that's just, look, the one thing that's important, of course, is you do your models, and then you make sure you keep your history of your models. And then the good thing too is with this site is, like I said, I think I mentioned this before, is I can come over here and say, well, you know what? I want to know Sony Open Time Machine, which is last year's winner. I want to know how last year's winner did with my model. Okay. Well, here they are. Nick Taylor won the event, and look at the model. Not 37th. It's okay. Again, this is the last 12 rounds, and that's not bad. And of course, you can go 4, 8, 12, we've got all these to choose from, but 12 is not bad. So, and 37 is not bad. And a 53 and 63. So it's not like they were in, top 10, 1 overall. But again, this is only the 12 rounds. See, I think it's if you get closer here with these guys, it actually got worse. There you see, got a little bit worse, 51, 59, 92. And then the last 4 rounds coming in on this model, even worse. Okay, so it's actually like they're going in the wrong direction coming in. So these are like players that I never would have touched last year, and they were long shots to win. And this is the whole idea. This is the reason why it has not worked out overall at figuring out really how to handicap this event. So this is the model I use, as I said, and it's going to change, of course, every single week, depending on the golf course. And I'm going to let you know every single week exactly why I did what I did. Feel free to let me know if you have a specific stat that you think should be used. If you think, you know what, I think scrambling is very important this week. I think that par 5 is more important than par 4. I think that there's so many things you can go with on specific stats for every event. And I'd love to hear your take because that'll help me out. And that's what this is all about. We're all in this together, right? And anything that you guys can do to help me out, vice versa, because anybody watching here, I'm sure there's a number of you guys that probably even do it better than I do. You know, my number one handicapping sport would be football, college football, actually, number one. Football is definitely up there. College basketball is also up there. And we just started doing college basketball. NASCAR is up there. We'll be doing NASCAR starting with the Daytona 500 next month. So there is a lot that is that I can do well at, but golf is not one of my top. Matter of fact, the last couple of years have been a little bit tougher. And I don't think that's a surprise. There's a couple of reasons why I think it's been tougher for me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, but definitely for me. That's because of the competition has gotten really tough. I mean, the talent levels are so much tougher now. I say this all the time when talking about Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods may be the greatest player ever. I got no problem with that at all. But let's just be real. Tiger Woods came along at the right time. His competition was terrible. I mean, Tiger was going up against some of the weakest fields ever. If you're looking at like the game from 1950 to now, and then there's a weaker crop of talent in a time period than when Tiger was playing. And that combination of greatness and weak field was why Tiger won so often. So now it's gotten so much tougher. There's no doubt that now we have a deeper, it's never been this deep before. I just talked about the whole thing with players coming from Europe and playing here and all of a sudden competing, which never used to happen. So players are more equipped nowadays, and they're not as it's not as difficult for them mentally to make the transitions. And so, look, it's fun because of that. That makes it more wide open for sure. There's more longer shot players that can win. But then the other thing is you got like someone like Scotty Scheffler that just gobbles everything else up. And his odds are so terrible. You can't make any money off of Scotty Scheffler. So that combination has really been tough for me the last few years. And so hopefully we'll work our way out of it this year. We've got a nice setup here. And along with your involvement as the viewer, hopefully we'll get this right. We'll put some wins. That'll be the goal. The goal will be minimum of 4 wins this year, because that's what we're looking at, the one and done. Now, one and done wins compared to us, that's different because I only got one shot at one and done. Here, I've got 5 picks a week. So I probably should raise that up. But I'll say 6. 6 will be our goal, 6 wins, because that'll be high. So let's go for 6 wins here, because if we can get 6 here, maybe I can get 3 or 4 on one and done. Now, that's a lofty goal. I get it, but let's go for it. All right. And so anyway, so that's the model for this week. Next week is going to be the American Express from La Quinta. It's an easy golf course. They play on multiple courses, but these are some of the easiest golf courses around. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of low scoring next week. Sepp Straka is the defending champ. if you're into the DP World Tour, you've got the event this week in Dubai. Mentioned it before, the Dubai Invitational. You also have the Dubai Desert Classic next week. Now, this week, you got Rory, you got Fleetwood, you got Lowry, and you've got Patrick Reed. Those are the biggest names this week in the Dubai Invitational. So it's one of those events where you start off and you're like, Rory, wow, Fleetwood, wow. And it's, there's Shane Lowry, and there's Patrick Reed. And then it's like, well, yeah, that's it. So yeah, the fields are not very deep over in Dubai in the DP World Tour at this time of year, but there are a couple of headliners. And so, if you want to parlay some golfers, it's not a bad week to parlay golf and sports, especially the NFL. If you want another sport to help up your price on your parlays, on your action, this is it. This is the great week. You have 4 games in the NFL. You got a championship game on Monday. You got Super Bowl futures as well. So, hey, and I'm only saying this for anybody out there that wants to bet on a Rory or a Fleetwood this week, because their numbers will be, I mean, Rory's probably going to be somewhere around 5-1, and Fleetwood's going to be like 5-1. They're both going to be in that area. And if you don't want to wager on a player at 5-1, well, go ahead and take that player, take, say, Rory or Tommy, parlay him with, you could parlay him, say, with a Sunday game or 2 in the NFL. You could do that. And this way, if Rory wins, then you're all set up for Sunday. And you got some real good cash to work on Sunday. Or you could do it the other way, which you can bet Saturday games. And then if you get the Saturday games with Rory or Tommy, then you go to bed, because it'll be, I think it probably starts at like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Yeah, it might be one of those deals. The time is really screwed up. So you win those 2 Saturday bets, and you go to bed with all the money on Rory. And now you've doubled the money on Rory because you used the parlay with the 2 NFL games instead of just getting 5-1. Anyway, that's advice. I've done that before. You might want to go with it. You might not. And so anyway, so that'll wrap it up here. So we had a lot to talk about. Just want to make sure that we were able to get everything through. It looks like we did. Another trend there. International players have won 4 out of the last 6 events at the Sony Open. It's going to be a different week this week, though, with the Century not up and running. And we don't even know if it's going to be available next year. I mean, that's it's just a shame. That's everything that's going on over there with everything that happened with the fires. And I'm just really, I don't know what they're doing. I really don't. I mean, to have an event like this is a kind of fun event. You get the winners together, even though they've upped it. It's not just winners now. And I know all that, but it was always nice to have that starting event before the Sony. So if they don't somehow make it back to the same location next year for the Century, then change it, go to California or something. Or can't you find another golf course in the Hawaii? Maybe not, but anyway, that's for next year. Next week, again, we'll be talking about the Amex. So we're going to do this every week. The time and the schedule, we haven't figured that out yet. So I really don't have any idea. It just depends on how quickly I can put all this together. This week was long. This took me over 2 days to put together everything for the show today and everything to get my picks and all the information. But that's going to happen because it's a new year and there's a lot to. And again, this is a new formula, and we're going to see how it all works. And there's a lot of information. There were a lot of contenders, as I said, too. So we'll see how it goes next week with the Amex, and I'm sure it'll take a lot less than 2 days. But my goal is to have the show on Monday. That's the goal, whether it's early, no later than Monday night. I'd like to do a Monday night show every week would be my goal. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. The good thing is if we can't make Monday nights, we have Tuesday as a backup. And that gives you still 36 hours before the event takes place. in order to come up with as much information as we can do to help you guys out to handicap the events every week on the PGA Tour. So thanks for tuning in here to Proline TV. Football tomorrow. We've got the Jim Feist football handicapping show is going to be at 3 o'clock Eastern from Don DeMarco's in Las Vegas. And they're going to be talking about the NFL playoffs. So again, 4 games to talk about tomorrow at 3 o'clock. I will be on the air before that though. Okay. So I will be on the air at 1 o'clock, I think it is. And James Yarshow, who is our resident Tampa Bay Buccaneers insider / analyst, is going to join me tomorrow. I did New Orleans with Darian Gray from whodatdish.com. So if you're a Saints fan, that's available on the website, on the channel. Matter of fact, there's a link in the description of this video on that. So Tampa Bay is tomorrow, and I do 32 of these. So we're going to be doing 32 interviews with our contacts around the NFL for each team to preview the offseason, free agency, and the NFL draft. Tampa Bay's tomorrow. And then I come back on Thursday. We have 2 shows on Thursday. We've got the Playbook ATS podcast. That's Mark, that's Andy, that's Jim, that's me. And then we're going to be going over a lot of the things that Jim is going to talk about tomorrow, but we're going to have different opinions, of course. And then we're also going to talk about a lot that's going on in the coaching ranks, as well as college football championship preview. So that's Thursday, Playbook ATS podcast at 1. I come on then later. I forget what time it is. 3 o'clock, I believe it is on Thursday. That's a Dallas Cowboys preview with RJ Ochoa, bloggingtheboys.com. So it's New Orleans today. It's Tampa Bay tomorrow. It's the Cowboys on Thursday. And then we've got the Jim Feist football handicapping show tomorrow, the Playbook ATS podcast on Thursday. Next week, we do it all again. We've got a championship weekend, a week from Sunday in the NFL. Of course, Monday night's the college football championship game. And then all of a sudden, I know some people will say, well, things kind of slow down, don't they? Heck no. We're going to be doing a lot of college basketball talk. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm already ready to go, college basketball. I've done all my research. I've already put in my future bets. I got Michigan at 10-1. Now they're 3-4-1. So I'm happy about that. So matter of fact, I got a bunch of futures already laid in. But the only reason we haven't done a video on that yet is because there's so much going on. So, but we're going to be doing college basketball real soon. I hit Florida last year in a January top pick. So I'm hot. I'm coming in on a 1-year streak, picking a championship winner in college basketball in January. So I'm going to try. So I'll be on the air, whether it's by myself or with Jim or Mark, talking college basketball at some point in the next week or two. I guarantee you that. And then once we're on the air with college basketball, it won't stop. And we're going to get a lot more content between now and March Madness. So that's coming real soon. And then NASCAR. We'll be doing weekly shows starting, I think it's a week or two before the Daytona 500. Matter of fact, I believe we start in 2 or 3 weeks with CJ Radoon of rotowire.com. So we're getting into it. Big news on NASCAR today regarding they're going back to the chase format. So we'll be talking more about that and getting into the NASCAR season in a few weeks. So that's more programming coming down the road. And with all of that, we want you to check out our new programming content that's coming out. I've already been putting something together during the holidays, and we're going to be doing more. I guess the right terminology would be docu videos. So these are going to be videos that are going to be more tailored towards background, history of sports and stories and things of that nature. A lot of editing, entertainment, clips, commentary, all sorts of really cool professional shit. So you want to check. Well, you definitely want to check that out. We'll probably put something together. I'm already working on something with the New York Jets, but I'm putting that together. I might post that on the I have a channel called Prime Sports Network that's been pretty dormant since I've started my run here at Proline TV. But I might be putting that video on the Prime Sports Network channel because, again, it's on the Jets. It's going to be a lot of my interpretation, commentary, and so forth. And that's, since it's really, I don't want to really speak for Jim or for Mark. So, but anyway, the goal is we're going to get that out. And then once we get those out, we're going to do a lot more of those that are not going to be Jet related, but that's going to be like the first step of us putting these docuseries together. And we want to see what kind of response we get. And that'll be the first one to see what kind of response we get. And then hopefully if it goes well, then we'll start putting more of that type of content here on Proline TV. And also check out our lads, the Our Lads Football Network, who works in tow here with us on a bunch of videos at Proline TV. All right, so I'm out of here. Thanks for tuning in. And let's have a good year, man. Let's have a good season, PGA Tour. This will take us all the way through till August, just before the 2026 football season begins. So this is a nice distraction when the football season ends, because we'll be talking golf every week except 1 week. There's 1 week we're off. That's the week of the event in New Orleans, that team event, which I just hate. So that's 1 week I get off for golf. Every other week, right here, Proline TV. We'll be back again, hopefully, like I said, Monday nights and so forth. So I'm out of here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for following us. We'll see you next time right here on Proline TV, talking golf on the formula. We'll see you next time.